Hey, today I'm speaking with Dr. Guy Yatros. He is the CEO and founder of Dental Sleep Solutions, also known as DS3. That's what all of us know it as. Four-pillar billing, Dental Sleep Medicine Insider Magazine. The list goes on and on and on. Plus, he has a sleep dental practice himself. When do you have time to even practice dental sleep medicine?
Mondays and Tuesdays, but I've got a really good team. That's if you want to do this and still do a lot of other things, getting a good team doing a lot of the work and getting them very efficient makes it so I can still see patients 2 days a week.
Yeah. So, and I love efficiency, and I know that's what you're going to be talking about at the roundtable is how to make your sleep medicine practice more efficient. And you do that by just working 2 days a week. And I'm betting you have a team that works the rest of the week.
Yeah, and I have an associate. So we have 3 offices where we just do dental sleep, Sarasota, Braden, and Tampa, Florida. And so my associate, Justin Ellicofer, sees lots of the patients too. So, but then I still see a fair amount myself. And again, having a good team with efficient systems allows that. So yeah, they work 5 days a week. It's not like I don't work 3 days a week. I run Dental Sleep Solutions and do a lot of lectures and a lot of other things for my time as well.
Yeah. So I know you're from Kentucky. So tell me a little bit. You went to the University of Kentucky or the College of Dentistry in Kentucky, right?
Yes, graduated 30. Gosh, man, we're getting old. 30-something years ago, 1989. I graduated from Kentucky's dental school, and I always just wanted to live in Florida. Growing up, we'd come to Florida, and I just, be sad when I had to go back to Kentucky, even though Kentucky's a beautiful place. It rained a lot, and I think some of my messages to dentists doing this is, you got to take chances. You got to decide what you want and then, take some chances. And so I took the Florida board after practicing in Eastern Kentucky for about a year. I learned a lot about extractions there, and then I realized I learned I didn't like doing those. And so I took the Florida board and moved to Florida in early 90s and worked for another dentist for a while, Pankey guy. That was what I learned a lot about the Pain Institute, became involved in it, and then bought my own practice in 1992 out on Anna Maria Island, Florida, where I currently live now.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of dentists, dentists as a whole aren't big chance takers. We don't, I think we're kind of conservative when it comes to that, and we're slow to make decisions, and that's very difficult for somebody to just pick up and move to another state. I know a few that have done it, but most people like me, I grew up thinking, gosh, Arizona would be such a cool place to live. When I would visit there, I loved it. But have I ever moved there? Nope. I just stayed in Dallas.
My mom gave me good advice. She was a guidance counselor, and she's like, if that's what you want to do, you're going to get settled, and you need to do it. And it was scary. I didn't know a soul. I was 25 years old. But in retrospect, it was also a really cool time, kind of moving somewhere when you're young and don't know so much, and learned a lot, and certainly don't ever regret it. That's for sure. So
yeah, well, that's important. You can't regret it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you do other things besides your sleep practice, and you do some traveling and lecturing. I know you do a lot of that. I see your name on the lecture circuit all the time. That's one reason I had you come to the roundtable. We're looking forward to hearing you there. So of all the places you've been and all the places you've lectured, I guess you've done some things internationally too, or just where's your favorite place? Where's the place that stands out?
Well, I'd say it's the trip, maybe not the lecture so much. I certainly worked with a lot of great labs, became good friends with people from and not so, big towns and so forth. But the best lecture I gave is going to seem cliches was in Hawaii. And that's because I got to take my whole family on someone else's dime, and we parlayed that into a couple week trip. And my wife surprised me and even had we flew over in those pods, that not even first class above that, and really it was an outstanding trip. And then the lecture itself was on like the 20th floor of a hotel with spectacular views, and I had to really challenge my lecturing abilities to keep everyone's attention from looking out the windows there. But I would say it was that, because it was a great trip. That's one of the nice things about speaking. You can, parlay your talking when you get fortunate enough to talk in some place.
Yeah. So you didn't shut the blinds or the drapes and
No, they didn't have them, best I could tell. So it was it was not possible. But fortunately, most people there were from Hawaii, so I guess it was probably not as as new as it was to me in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so tell us a little bit about your progression. I mean, you obviously you became a dentist first, and then how did you get interested in sleep, and at what time, what year?
1994, I think it was 94, 95. I just saw my first patient for the fourth device within the last year. So she's
Wow.
still my patient 22 years ago, whatever I think it was. So you could subtract that around 94, 95. I had my own restorative practice that I was building into more of a prosthetically driven practice on Anna Maria due to going to the Pankey Institute and implementing something that was taught there. And I had a patient that came in, and I was checking her for hygiene. And she's on the way out the door. She says, "Hey, Dr. Yatros, I have apnea, and my doctor says you can make something for that. Can you do that?" And what I said next changed my life. I said, "Yes, I can." And I think dentists aren't very good at saying yes, I can when they don't know they can do it. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to do it, but I'd just actually gotten a brochure from Glidewell. Actually, it was on my desk. It had the Silent Night on. I just opened my mail. I saw that. I thought it must be fate. I must need to make her one of these things. And I left the room and said, "Let me go check another patient," and called Glidewell on the phone and asked them how to make this thing. And they said, "Just take a couple of Algin impressions and CO bite," as we used to call it. And I said, "Yep, Miss DiCostanzo, sure is her name." I said, I'll help you out. And we took some impressions, gave her the device a week or two later. And within a couple of days, she came back into my office unannounced. And, that's oftentimes not a good thing, especially when you do a lot of Crown and Bridge, because usually something's broke or, "Oh my gosh, what's she doing here?" We had our morning huddle. I'm trying to hide from her, but she caught me coming through the reception room door. And I'm like, "What's she here for?" And she just came up and just hugged me and said, "I just want to thank you so much for what you did." And it's a true story. And she's just was so excited about her device and how well it worked. And long story short, she told so many people, told a physician in town who called me up and said, "Hey, I didn't know anybody who was trained in dental sleep medicine." And I didn't want to tell him I didn't know anybody that was either at the time, but he started referring me patients. And that was 20 something years ago. And but what I thought was easy at the beginning, I realized was not easy after I started doing some more. And there was probably a year, 6 or 7 so years in there, maybe more than that I was struggled, didn't have systems, and almost quit. And my take home message is, you got to take chances. And then once you decide you want to do something, it doesn't, a lot of people out there saying dental sleep's easy. I say it's not difficult, but it's complex. There's lots of pieces. And if you can put those pieces together and make it efficient, it becomes very fun to do. If you can't, you're going to be frustrated. And so that's kind of how I got involved.
I'm afraid a lot of dentists, they'll go to a seminar, and there's seminars everywhere, every weekend. There's lots of them out there, but they'll go to one and their first patient won't be like yours. They're going to be a frustrating patient, and they're going to say they hate it, and just who knows. But then they just throw in the towel and say, "Well, gosh, if treating dental sleep medicine is like this." So yeah, you're right. You've got to take chances, and dentists don't really like to do that.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Don't leave this conversation saying go do one, and you need to always go do a handful. I say a dozen. If you'll do 10 or more patients, you're going to realize this is very enjoyable to do. It's fun to do. But yeah, I got lucky, and I think luck and decisions, kind of fate, all kind of rolls into where you end up in life, and you just got to make the right decisions. And then you got to be willing to roll the dice ever so often as well.
So. Yeah. So this software thing, I can tell you that I've changed softwares a bunch of times over the years, and dental software, sleep, but I would never create a software. So what propelled you and Dr. Dre to actually make that decision to do that? I know probably my guess is, and I haven't talked to you about this, is you found deficiencies in whatever was out there, and you wanted to make something better.
That's exactly right. There wasn't something that did what we needed it to do. And for me to do this effectively in my office, I was one of the first offices. So 92, I had all touchscreen monitors when I bought the office. I just renovated it, and it was about 94, about the time I was doing this. I mean, $1,700 a piece for the monitors and digital x-rays. I mean, I had all that because I like computers. I was in engineering before I went to dental school. Computer started out computer science, then went to engineering, then another happenstance story we can discuss at another time. I ended up at dental school. And so I had a little bit of a background in that, but the softwares I tried to use, I couldn't figure out a way to make this effective. And so Rich and I were talking about it, and we got a bid to make a software, mostly just for ourselves at the time. And it was under six figures at the time. And certainly we spent way more than that now on it. And what turned out to be a little project to kind of help us and some of our dentists we were training at the time along turned into this project that's been going on. We turned on, the software's been in existence for 10 years. We had a 10-year anniversary a couple of months ago. So
congratulations.
We had kind of a celebration about that. So glad we did it. A lot of work. You'd probably be happy you didn't. My wife will attest a lot of hours at nights and stuff that I was not available to go to dinner and things like that while we were developing it.
And I'm just impressed that anybody would be able to do that and stick with it, because I wasn't there, but I know how many hours it took to get that done. And that was a labor of love on your part, and it's grown 10 years. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's not work when you enjoy it and when you're passionate about it. And so that's something I learned along the way. Probably give kudos to Pank Institute. If you do what you like to do, you'll do it well and you'll enjoy going to work. And so developing the software was, to me, it was kind of fun doing it. Still is. When you look at, hey, how we can make this better, it's something that what I had a radio Tandy computer back in the 80s, and I would stay hours making programming it just for fun when I was a kid. So it's not like, if that's not you, then you don't want to start a software company. But if it's something you enjoy, then it's not work.
It's a lot of work. So then, as an offshoot of that, obviously, that medical billing is that's the biggest problem dentists have when they're trying to get involved in dental sleep medicine. So you knew that had to be a part of what you were creating. So tell me how that worked out.
Well, it wasn't a known thing. So as we started developing this and started training other dentists, we started with a franchise model, and then we moved to what we have now, which is DS3 Complete, which is education, billing, software support. And Rich and I had a discussion. Rich Drake and I started the company together, a good friend of mine out in your area, somewhat, Texas anyway, the same state. Yeah. And as we started training the dentists, we realized that they weren't succeeding as much because they didn't have billing under control. And so I went to Rich and said, Rich, we're going to have to do billing for these people. And that's probably one of the only disagreements we've ever had in a dozen or more years. He's like, no, we don't want to, that's a can of worms. I don't want any part of it. And obviously I won the conversation, and we decided to start our own billing company because out of just the same reason we did the software, out of necessity. Because dentists, if they don't have that piece, ultimately they won't long-term succeed. But I do want to mention in my lecture, I'm going to talk about where we've changed. And if you're just first starting doing this, I don't think billing's where you want to start. I think you want to start with fee for service. Make it low enough to where you're comfortable providing it. Your patients are saying yes, because billing is the anchor that drives people to the bottom if don't have it in order. And it takes a while to set up. And so start for the first 3 or 4 months fee for service. I'll be talking about how you can do that and some changes in telemedicine and HSTs throughout the country, making that even easier than it used to be. And so you start with that model, get a bunch of cases under your belt, get your systems in place, and then plug in the billing afterwards. That's something we've changed in the last few years, that we used to say start with billing. And I think that's a recipe for failure in many cases if you put everything on the billing.
Yeah, that's sort of backwards. I know that I hear of some dentists that they actually want, before they even take a sleep education course at all, they want to take a billing course because they've heard that it's the problem. So they want to learn billing before they even learn how to treat sleep. But you're saying, nah, that's backwards.
Yeah, and here's the reason, Kent, is because they're relying on the billing to cover that to such an extent that the patients say yes to treatment. And it's kind of a crutch. They think, oh, I'll do the billing. Everybody's going to say yes because it's free. Well, first of all, it's usually not free with billing, or even if it is, it's teaching the wrong message. They're teaching the dentist to say, oh, you get it to be free and everybody's going to say yes. And instead, you've got to be confident and competent at doing dental sleep. You got to provide a good service. You have to believe it. You have to say, hey, this is something that's valuable. And you can't rely on the billing to sell all your cases. And so if you start out with a low fee, I advocate that you tell the patients, look, I'm new to this, and you're going to get a good deal because of that. And, the fees for this is several $1,000s if you come back in 6 months. For now, you're one of my first people. It's $1,000, $800, $1,200, whatever you want to do. And we're going to learn together, and you're going to get a good device and get treated along the way. Then the dentists get their systems in place, they get their confidence up. And then they also know how much they need to make this successful. People say, how much do I need to charge for this? I don't know. I don't know your overhead. I don't know your lifestyle. I don't know how much you're paying your assistant and your rent. You've got to figure out what you need, and that helps you to do it that way. And since we've been doing that the last going on a couple of years, we see success rates of dentists increasing from an initial adaptation of dental sleep.
That is great. I bet a lot of dentists will take advantage of that approach and try to do that, because they're going to probably be coming to the roundtable some a lot very frustrated, especially with all the changes in medical insurance these days. Good grief. Where do you even see that going in the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years? Because there's some handwriting on the wall that's not really pretty.
It kind of goes hand in hand with my talk, which is the efficiencies in dental sleep medicine. So instead of relying so much heavily on insurance, if we make this really efficient, that doesn't mean guy makes a big wad full of money at the end because he's very efficient. Yes, that's part of it. But also we can lower the fees if we're very efficient at doing this. And deductibles are going up both in and out of network. And so to assume that, hey, I've got insurance that's going to cover it, even if it's 100% covered, which it usually isn't, and even if you're in network, these people still have to outlay a fair amount of cash often to get the devices. And if we can be more efficient, then what we do in my office and what we train is we have a fee-for-service model that continues to exist. And we look at all their insurance, in that network, out of network, and then fee-for-service, and what makes the most sense for that patient and us as a provider. And then we make a decision based on it. So the answer to the question is, I think the deductibles are going up. Reimbursements aren't going to go up, probably going to come down. And the answer to make this still a viable, profitable, and it can be very profitable. The most profitable thing you can do as a dentist is to be efficient at doing it by having good systems and team members to carry out a lot of the procedures, so that the dentist, doesn't have to spend hours with each patient while still delivering a great service.
So in your opinion, if, let's say, medical insurance went away completely, if your systems were efficient enough and your overhead was in line, you could make this still a profitable thing to do, and you would be still saving lives and relationships and careers.
Absolutely. People pay. We can do this today for under Smile Direct fees. I mean, those are less than $2,000. I mean, in my office, our fee for service is under $2,000.
Mine is too.
And we make more money in many cases than we do with insurance, because a lot of the stuff you've got to do goes away. It becomes a lot more efficient system. And so as we get devices that are less, and the fast track calibration I'm going to talk about makes the follow-up a lot quicker and easier, less time. This becomes, I mean, people pay Smile Directs, not that I'm not promoting them by any way, but they make a lot of money. A lot of patients rip out $1,800 out of their pockets for that. Surely to goodness we can get people to give us $1,800 or under to breathe to breathe at night and to live longer and live better. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Some of it has to do with verbal skills, but I couldn't agree with you more. They should be willing to do that.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Yatros, it's been very nice talking to you today. I'm personally looking very forward to this talk at the roundtable. And it's going to be on efficiency in the workflow, right? Basically, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. How do you do this profitably and efficiency? And then some of the changes that have happened recently, we're going to emphasize, like telemedicine visit, changes in home sleep tests, what we call our fast track calibration techniques, as well as team involvement. So it'll be fast paced. I'm one of the fastest Southerners that you've ever heard talk. And so we'll cram a lot in the hour or so that I get the opportunity to speak. And I look forward to hopefully seeing everyone at the roundtable. I've been to the event many times in the past. You do a great job. It's a great service you do for the dental sleep medicine community. And it's just an all-around great meeting. I'm looking forward to being there and seeing you all there. Thanks for putting it on again, Kim.
You bet. Thanks, guys. For those of you who have not registered for the roundtable, we'll have hundreds of dentists, sleep dentists, their teams, all coming out. We'll have great speakers just like Dr. Yatros, a nice celebratory dinner on Saturday night, all kinds of fun stuff. Just go to sleeproundtable.com. Hope to see all of you at the roundtable. Thanks again, Dr. Yatros.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed our talk.
Thanks.